Have you noticed that after 60, even when you eat well and move daily, your muscles don't respond the way they used to? You lift, you walk, you stretch, but the strength, the tone, the energy just don't quite come back as fast. It's not weakness, that's its biology. After age 60, the body undergoes a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. Your muscles literally stop responding to protein the way they once did. Research from the Journal of Gerontology shows that older adults may need nearly double the amount of high-quality amino acids to trigger the same muscle-building response as someone in their 20s, and that's where most people make the wrong move. They rush to protein powders thinking more protein is the answer. But here's what the science actually shows. It's not just about how much protein you consume. It's how your body recognizes and uses it. The shocking truth is there are natural whole foods that can outperform many commercial protein supplements. Foods that don't just build muscle, but also reverse sarcopenia, reduce inflammation, and restore mitochondrial function inside aging muscle cells. One of them, as new research out of McGill University revealed, contains specific bioactive peptides that switch on the body's muscle synthesis pathways and turn down catabolic inflammation. And it's not found in a shaker bottle. Is found in your kitchen. In this talk, we'll explore 6 powerful science-backed principles that will help you rebuild muscle naturally, strengthen your metabolism, and literally slow the clock on muscle aging, all without a single scoop of synthetic powder. We tell and cover the one overlooked food that triggers muscle repair at the cellular level, how your brain's insulin signaling determines whether you gain or lose muscle, the anti-inflammatory compound that stops sarcopenia in its tracks, and how to structure your meals to activate your body's growth switch every day. By the end, you'll understand not only what to eat, but why your cells, your hormones, and your nervous system respond so powerfully when you feed them this way. Because muscle isn't just strength, it's longevity, cognition, and vitality itself. If you want to rebuild muscle after 60, you need to understand one thing first: your body isn't broken, it's just harder to activate. Think of your muscles like an engine that used to start with a single turn of the key. Now, it needs a stronger spark. That spark comes from a specific amino acid called leucine, the ignition switch for muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. When you eat protein, your body breaks it down to amino acids, but leucine stands apart. It directly triggers a molecular pathway called M2R, the command center that tells your muscle cells it sets time to grow. Here's what the research shows. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults require nearly 3 grams of leucine in a single meal to maximally stimulate muscle building. But here's the catch. Most protein powders fall short. They're isolated, processed, and often stripped of the micronutrients your body needs to use leucine effectively. Now compare that to natural foods. Cake eggs, for example, one of nature's most perfectly balanced protein sources. The yolk contains not only leucine, but choline, vitamin D, and healthy fats that amplify muscle repair and hormone signaling. Or pumpkin seeds, which pair leucine with magnesium and zinc, minerals that stabilize energy production and protein turnover inside your cells. In one fascinating study from McGill University, older adults who consumed natural, leucine-rich foods like eggs and lentils showed greater improvements in muscle mass than those given protein shakes with identical protein quantities. Why? Because food carries synergy, enzymes, cofactors, and nutrients that powders can't replicate. Have you ever wondered why 2 people can eat the same amount of protein but see very different results? The answer lies not just in quantity, but in bioavailability, how much your body can actually use. Natural foods have enzymes and fiber that slow digestion, allowing amino acids to be absorbed steadily over time, not dumped into your system all at once like many powders do. This steady release supports sustained repair and less nitrogen waste, meaning more of what you eat turns into real muscle. So here's a simple science-backed tool you can start using today. When you build your meals, include at least 1 leucine-dense food at every major meal. That could be 2 eggs at breakfast, a cup of lentils or beans at lunch, and a handful of pumpkin or sunflower seeds in the evening. If you pair those with colorful vegetables rich in antioxidants, you're not just feeding your muscles, you're reducing oxidative stress that blocks growth. Remember, muscle aging isn't just a lack of protein, it's a result of inflammation, insulin resistance, and mitochondrial fatigue. Every natural food source that supports these systems multiplies your muscle gains over time. Here's another powerful insight. Leucine is also involved in brain signaling. Studies from cell metabolism show that leucine activates neurons in the hypothalamus, which regulates appetite and energy balance. That's why eating real protein-rich foods helps you stay full longer and stabilizes mood, something powders can't reproduce. Now, don't misunderstand, protein powders aren't evil. They're tools, but they should never replace the intelligence of food. Nature designed protein in packages that communicate with your body, a complex orchestra of amino acids, minerals, fats, and enzymes working together. When you rely only on processed protein, you silence half the orchestra. But when you eat whole, living food, you activate every instrument and your body responds like it remembers how to grow again. So the next time you reach for a scoop of powder, pause. Ask yourself, could my body be craving real nourishment, not just numbers on a label? Because the truth is simple. Food is information. And when that information is rich in leucine, magnesium, and real nutrients, your muscles don't just grow stronger, your energy, cognition, and vitality rise with them. When most people think about building muscle, they picture dumbbells, protein, and maybe a gym membership, but almost no one thinks about insulin. Here's what the research shows. Your ability to build muscle depends less on how much protein you eat and more on how well your body's cells respond to insulin, the hormone that delivers nutrients right into your muscle fibers. You can think of insulin as the delivery driver for amino acids. After you eat, insulin knocks on your muscle cell sept door and says, "I sept got your package, time to rebuild." With age and with years of processed carbs, sedentary hours, and late night snacking, those doors become jammed. Your muscles stop listening. That's called insulin resistance, and it's one of the silent causes of sarcopenia. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle found that insulin resistance directly suppresses muscle protein synthesis in older adults, even when protein intake is sufficient. In simple terms, if insulin can't do its job, your muscles never get the building blocks they need. So the path to rebuilding strength isn't just eating more protein, it's retraining your insulin sensitivity. Now here's steps, so where nature steps in again. Whole food proteins, when paired with slow digesting carbohydrates like quinoa, sweet potatoes, or lentils, can help wake up insulin signaling. Unlike refined carbs, these foods release glucose gradually, preventing the sharp spikes that make your cells tune out insulin over time. To understand this visually, imagine your cells as people living near a busy railroad. If the train, glucose, blasts by too often and too loud, eventually they stop noticing it. But if the rhythm is steady and calm, they remain responsive. When you pair protein with slow carbs and fiber, you're creating that calm rhythm. The body recognizes the gentle rise in glucose, insulin is released at a healthy rate, and amino acids are efficiently transported into the muscle. That's the sweet spot for muscle recovery and growth after 60. Here are sets of simple research-backed protocol. Step 1, eat your protein-rich meal within 45 minutes after movement. Step 2, include a slow carb source, quinoa, oats, or a piece of fruit. Step 3, add a small amount of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado to stabilize blood sugar. This 3-part combination can raise muscle insulin sensitivity by up to 25-30% according to Mayo Clinic data. Over time, it reprograms your muscle cells to listen again. And here's something most people overlook. Insulin sensitivity isn't just a metabolic process. It's a neurological signal too. The same insulin receptors that control muscle glucose uptake also exist in the brain, particularly in areas like the hippocampus and hypothalamus, which govern energy and motivation. When those receptors work well, your brain tells your body, move more, lift more, live more. When they don't, fatigue and low drive set in. So improving insulin sensitivity isn't just about muscle, it's about restoring your body's motivation chemistry. If this insight is helping you connect the dots between metabolism and muscle, consider subscribing to this channel. Here we decode the science of healthy aging. Not with hype, but with proven strategies you can live by every single day. Now back to your body. You might wonder, can you rebuild insulin sensitivity after 60? Absolutely. Research from Diabetes Care shows that even light daily walking, as little as 15 minutes after each meal, enhances insulin function in older adults by increasing GLUT4, the transporter that pulls glucose into muscle cells. That's why simple movement after eating can act like natural medicine. Combine that with real food, whole proteins, slow carbs, and good fats, and you're teaching your body to absorb nourishment again. When insulin sensitivity improves, muscle growth follows naturally. Strength returns, energy steadies. And something else happens too. You start feeling younger, not just looking it, because true muscle growth isn't built on protein alone. It's built on communication, the conversation between your hormones, your muscles, and your brain. When you restore that conversation, you don't just fight sarcopenia, you rewrite how your body ages. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood drivers of muscle loss after 60, inflammation. Now, most people hear that word and think of pain or swelling, but the kind of inflammation that weakens muscle is much quieter. It doesn't scream, it whispers day after day, slowly breaking down your muscle tissue from the inside out. Scientists call it chronic low-grade inflammation, and it's now recognized as one of the main biological engines behind sarcopenia. When your body is in a constant state of mild inflammation, two molecular signals, NF-θB and TNF-alpha, become overactive. These are your body CEP's internal fire alarms. They're useful when you're fighting infection, but devastating when they stay on all the time. Over time, they signal your body to break down muscle protein for energy while suppressing mTOR, the pathway you need to build it. So even if you're eating enough protein, you may still be losing muscle, simply because your body is stuck in a state of internal inflammation. Here's what the research shows. A major review in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that older adults with higher inflammation markers lost twice as much muscle mass over a decade as those with lower levels. But here's the hopeful part. Nature gives us powerful anti-inflammatory tools that can reverse this process. Take omega-3 fatty acids found in flax seeds, chia seeds, and fatty fish. They literally turn off NF-θB activity and help restore muscle anabolic sensitivity. In one clinical trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, participants over 65 who took omega-3 CES gained significantly more muscle after just 4 months of light resistance training than those who didn't. Another compound that deserves attention is curcumin, the golden pigment in turmeric. Studies from the Journal of Inflammation Research show that curcumin reduces TNF-alpha levels and supports mitochondrial function, meaning it helps your muscle cells produce clean energy again. Add a pinch of black pepper to boost curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. And don't overlook polyphenols, the antioxidant compounds in colorful plant foods like blueberries, green tea, and pomegranate. They work at the cellular level, neutralizing reactive oxygen species, ORES, the same molecules that damage muscle mitochondria and accelerate aging. Here, CEP's a simple tool you can start using. Build what I call an anti-inflammatory muscle meal once per day. Here, CEP's how it looks. Base: a serving of clean protein, lentils, eggs, or salmon. Add a handful of omega-3 rich seeds, flax, chia, or walnuts. Color: 1 deeply pigmented fruit or vegetable like spinach, berries, or beets. Spice turmeric, garlic, or ginger, natural inflammation fighters. This combination works synergistically to lower inflammation, feed your mitochondria, and prime your muscles for growth. Here's the neuroscience behind it. Chronic inflammation doesn't just weaken your body, it blunts your motivation circuitry. When your immune system is chronically active, it affects the dopamine pathways in your brain. That's why persistent inflammation is often accompanied by fatigue, apathy, or low drive. By calming inflammation, you don't just restore muscle, you restore vitality and purpose. Have you ever noticed how eating clean, colorful food makes you feel more awake, more alive? That's not just a mood shift, it's biochemistry. Your cells are literally functioning more efficiently, your brain is receiving clearer signals, and your mitochondria are firing again. So the next time you sit down to a meal, remember you're not just eating to fill your stomach. You're either fueling fire or fighting it. And if you choose anti-inflammatory foods consistently, the results compound stronger muscle fibers, better recovery, deeper sleep, and a calmer nervous system. It's no surprise that communities known for longevity, like Okinawa and Sardinia, have diets overflowing with anti-inflammatory foods. Their elders not only live longer, they move better, think clearer, and age slower. That's what happens when you reduce inflammation at the root. Your body remembers its original rhythm of healing. So think of every anti-inflammatory meal as a small act of self-restoration, one that tells your body you can build again. When we think about strong muscles, we usually think of exercise and protein. But in recent years, science has revealed something astonishing. Your muscle strength might depend as much on your gut bacteria as on your workouts. Inside your intestines lives a community of over 100 trillion microbes, your gut microbiome. They don't just digest food, they manufacture vitamins, regulate inflammation, and send messages through your nervous system. And now, a wave of studies has uncovered a new biological relationship called the gut-muscle axis, a direct line of communication between your gut and your skeletal muscle. Here's what the research shows. A study published in Nature Metabolism found that older adults with diverse, healthy gut bacteria had greater muscle mass and function, even when their diet and activity levels were the same as others. How? Because certain bacteria produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs, especially one named butyrate. The butyrate is like fuel for your mitochondria. It lowers inflammation, improves insulin sensitivity, and even enhances the expression of genes involved in muscle regeneration. In animal studies, when gut bacteria were wiped out, muscle loss accelerated dramatically. When butyrate-producing bacteria were restored, muscle mass returned even without increasing protein intake. So the key isn't just what you eat, it's what your gut can extract and deliver. If your microbiome is imbalanced from antibiotics, processed food, or stress, your body struggles to absorb amino acids and micronutrients. That means you could eat plenty of protein yet still fail to grow muscle because your internal digestive ecosystem isn't translating that food into usable energy. Here's a simple analogy. Imagine your gut as a garden. If the soil is rich and balanced, whatever you plant, protein, fiber, nutrients, grows beautifully. But if the soil is dry, acidic, and stripped of life, no matter how much you water it, growth is limited. Your gut bacteria are the living soil of your body. To rebuild that soil, start with 3 simple tools. Feed your microbes with prebiotic fibers, foods like oats, bananas, garlic, and asparagus. These are what your good bacteria eat to thrive. Add fermented foods such as yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, or kimchi. They deliver live bacteria that strengthen your gut wall and increase butyrate production. Reduce artificial sweeteners and processed oils, which disrupt bacterial balance and promote inflammation. One fascinating study from Frontiers in Physiology found that older adults who increased fiber intake to at least 25 grams per day saw measurable improvements in muscle strength, even without exercise. That's the gut-muscle axis in action. And here sits the brain connection. Your gut microbes communicate with your central nervous system through the vagus nerve, influencing your energy, mood, and motivation to move. When your gut is healthy, it sends signals that boost dopamine and serotonin, neurotransmitters that help you feel more energized and confident to stay active. Have you ever noticed that when your digestion feels off, your motivation drops? That's no coincidence. Your brain is responding to the same internal chemistry that your muscles are. If this insight is opening your eyes to how deeply connected your gut and body truly are, consider subscribing. Here we explore how neuroscience and nutrition meet and how small science-backed shifts can help you reclaim energy, focus, and longevity from the inside out. Now imagine this, every time you eat a fiber-rich meal, a bowl of oats with seeds, or a plate of lentils with greens, your gut bacteria produce butyrate. That butyrate travels through your bloodstream, enters your muscle cells, and literally tells them to repair. That's how powerful this connection is. So the next time you think of building muscle, don't just think protein, think probiotics. Don't just count your reps. Count your fiber. Because the strength of your muscles begins in the health of your gut. And when you rebuild that inner ecosystem, your body starts to heal and grow in ways powders and supplements never could. Let's imagine 2 people who eat the same food, same calories, and same protein each day. Yet one steadily gains muscle and energy while the other feels tired and weak. What sets the difference? Timing. The human body is not a machine, it's a biological rhythm. Every system, from your digestion to your hormones, operates on a circadian clock, a 24-hour cycle that dictates when your body builds, repairs, and rests. And when it comes to muscle growth after 60, timing your meals correctly can make the difference between rebuilding muscle or losing it. Here's what the research shows. A 2020 study in Frontiers in Nutrition found that older adults who evenly distributed protein across breakfast, lunch, and dinner gained 40% more lean muscle than those who consumed most of their protein at dinner. Why? Because muscle protein synthesis, or MPS, needs to be triggered multiple times throughout the day. You can think of it like flipping a light switch. Each protein-rich meal flips that switch on for a few hours. But if you only eat a big dinner, you're activating growth once a day, and your muscles spend the rest of the time idle. So the simple rule is, spread your protein intake evenly. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal, enough to hit the leucine threshold that turns on muscle repair. Here, such a powerful, evidence-based protocol you can start tomorrow. Morning, break your fast with a leucine-rich meal. Eggs, yogurt, or lentils with seeds. This wakes up your metabolism and switches on anabolic signaling early. Midday, include a mix of protein and complex carbs, quinoa, beans, or fish with vegetables to sustain amino acid availability. Evening, end with a lighter, slower digesting protein, cottage cheese, tofu, or a handful of nuts to support overnight repair. This rhythm keeps MPS active throughout the day while aligning with your body's natural hormonal cycle. Because here's what's happening in your brain. When you eat, your hypothalamus tracks not just what you eat, but when it senses consistent feeding times, it synchronizes your metabolism, optimizing growth hormone and insulin sensitivity. But when meal timing is erratic, skipping breakfast, late night snacking, that rhythm breaks, leading to cortisol spikes, blood sugar crashes, and reduced anabolic response. Think of your body like an orchestra. Protein is the instrument, but timing is the conductor. Without rhythm, the music, your metabolism becomes chaotic. Now, many people ask, what about fasting? Intermittent fasting can support insulin sensitivity, but if your goal is muscle preservation after 60, extreme fasting windows can backfire. Studies from aging cells show that prolonged fasting can increase muscle protein breakdown, especially in older adults with lower baseline muscle mass. A moderate approach, 12 to 14 hours overnight, provides metabolic benefits without starving your muscles. Here's another key insight. Your muscles are most receptive to nutrients within 30 to 45 minutes after movement, what's known as the anabolic window. Even light activity, a brisk walk, light resistance training, or yoga opens the muscle cells' transport channels, allowing amino acids and glucose to enter efficiently. So if you want to maximize growth, time your meals around movement. Have you noticed how your appetite naturally rises after a walk or light workout? That sits your body, sits internal signal saying, feed me now, I sit them ready to rebuild. The beauty of timing isn't in strict rules, but in consistency. When your meals follow a steady rhythm, your hormones stabilize, inflammation drops, and muscle metabolism stays active all day long. And remember, your body loves predictability. If you eat and move with rhythm, your biology rewards you with energy, recovery, and strength. So tomorrow morning, instead of skipping breakfast, start your day with a real meal rich in protein, color, and life. That's not just breakfast, it's your first message to your cells that says we start rebuilding today. By now, we've talked about protein, insulin, inflammation, and gut health, but there's one deeper layer where all of this converges: energy, not just the kind you feel, but the kind your cells produce. Inside every muscle fiber are thousands of tiny power plants called mitochondria. They convert the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe into ATP, the universal energy currency of life. When your mitochondria are strong, you build muscle easily, but when they're damaged or sluggish, as often happens with age, your body simply doesn't have enough power to rebuild tissue, no matter how much protein you eat. Here sits what the science shows. Research from the Journal of Physiology found that aging muscles contain fewer and less efficient mitochondria, leading to reduced protein synthesis, slower recovery, and increased fatigue. This mitochondrial decline is a hallmark of sarcopenia, the loss of muscle and strength that accelerates after 60. So the key question becomes, how do we reactivate these cellular power plants? The answer begins with nutrients that fuel mitochondrial biogenesis, the process of creating new mitochondria. One of the most effective is coenzyme Q10, CoQ10, found naturally in foods like spinach, pistachios, and organ meats. CoQ10 acts like a spark plug in your mitochondrial engines. It helps transfer electrons during energy production. Without it, the process stalls. A study in mechanisms of aging and development found that older adults who supplemented with CoQ10 improved muscle performance and reduced fatigue within just 12 weeks. Another compound that works synergistically is PQQ, pyrroloquinoline quinine, a nutrient found in green tea, parsley, and fermented soy. PQQ not only supports existing mitochondria, but also signals your cells to build new ones. Think of it as upgrading your internal battery from an old model to a new one, faster, more efficient, and longer lasting. Then there's creatine, not just a supplement for athletes, but a natural energy buffer your body already makes from amino acids. Creatine, found in seeds, fish, and red meat, helps replenish ATP during muscular effort. In the 2021 Nutrients Review, older adults who took small daily doses of creatine showed measurable improvements in muscle mass, cognitive function, and bone density, all signs of mitochondrial revitalization. But here steps the bigger insight. Mitochondria don't just respond to nutrients, they respond to movement. Even light physical activity like walking, resistance bands, or gentle cycling activates a genetic pathway called PGC1 alpha, which triggers the creation of new mitochondria. In essence, movement tells your cells we need more energy, and your body responds by building it. So a powerful tool you can start today. Perform short bouts of movement throughout the day, 5 to 10 minutes of walking or stretching after each meal. This simple habit keeps your mitochondria active, your blood sugar stable, and your muscles primed for repair. Have you ever noticed how after a brisk walk, your mind feels sharper and your fatigue melts away? That's not coincidence. That's your mitochondria flooding your body with clean energy. Now let's not just connect this to the bigger picture. When you feed your body the right nutrients, time your meals intelligently, lower inflammation, and move rhythmically, you're not just fighting muscle loss. You're rebuilding the entire communication network between your brain, your muscles, and your mitochondria. And when that system comes back online, something remarkable happens. Energy returns, recovery quickens. Your body composition changes, not because you're trying harder, but because your biology is finally working with you again. So forget the myth that muscle decline is inevitable after 60. What's really happening is mitochondrial underperformance. And the good news is you can reignite it at any age. The formula is simple but profound. Feed your cells, move your body, protect your mitochondria. Do that and the body will do the rest, rebuilding, renewing, and restoring strength you may have thought was gone forever. Because energy, not age, is the true gatekeeper of growth. So let's take a step back and connect everything we've explored. We began with a simple but powerful truth that muscle loss after 60 isn't destiny. It's biology responding to neglect. And the moment you begin nourishing that biology with the right signals, everything starts to change. You've learned that real muscle repair doesn't come from powders or hype. It comes from nature's intelligent design, foods like hemp, chia, and pumpkin seeds that provide not just protein, but the enzymes, minerals, and omega fats your body actually recognizes. We uncovered how insulin sensitivity shapes your ability to build lean tissue, how inflammation silently weakens muscle fibers until you turn it off through anti-inflammatory seeds and movement, how the gut-brain-muscle connection determines how well your body uses the nutrients you eat, and how the mitochondria, your inner power plants, ultimately decide whether your energy goes toward decline or regeneration. Here steps the key takeaway. You're not rebuilding muscle by force, you're awakening the systems that naturally do it for you. So here sets your challenge for this week, and it says beautifully simple. Each morning, have one serving of your natural protein seed mix, chia, flax, pumpkin, or hemp. Pair it with movement, a 10-minute walk, some slow squats, or gentle stretches. Then notice how your energy, focus, and strength shift over time. Because when you fuel your body correctly, you're not just feeding muscle, you're activating vitality. And vitality is what keeps your mind sharp, your posture tall, and your confidence alive, no matter your age. If today's science and strategies helped you see muscle health in a new light, I'd love for you to subscribe and join this community of lifelong learners and healers. Every week, we share evidence-based insights on how to master your body, protect your mind, and age with purpose naturally. Remember this, your body is not breaking down, it's waiting for the right signal to rebuild. And you have the power to send that signal every single day. Stay curious, stay consistent, And until see you in the next video.